Hello, food forest gardeners. Nick here. Welcome back to the garden. It's about 1:20 in the afternoon in late August 2026. It is really hot out here. But I wanted to shoot a video which really wraps up the recent chop and drop series that I did. I don't really think I emphasized in that 4-part series one of the most important things about chop and drop, and that's the regrowth. So let's cover that in this video right quick here. Regrowth is actually the most important part of chop and drop. So it might seem that putting all this material full of nutrients on the ground to smother the grasses and help these trees is the main point, and it's definitely a very important point. But you know, you could do that with any kind of mulch. It doesn't have to be chop and drop mulch. The reason why you want to do it with chop and drop mulch is because you're harvesting your mulch, like with this Mexican sunflower, which was a good, at least 10 feet tall. So all these major side branches, little branches coming out here. This is like a big giant Jurassic Park herb is what it is. It's not really a tree or anything. It's a big herb that grows like a beast. And so what you're doing is you're not killing it. You're just taking what you need for your mulch. And look how it grows back. I think it's been something like 11 days. I have to go back, but 10, 11 days since I shot my first video on chop and drop. And about 10 or 11 days since I cut all this material. And look at it, it's growing back really fast. There's another one. And all of these Mexican sunflowers are doing the same thing. There's another one over there. And then let's look at our Fakahatchee grass. Okay, here's another Mexican sunflower right by me here. I didn't chop this branch, but all the rest of this I pretty much did. And look at it, just growing like crazy. And then the Fakahatchee grass, you can see the level where I cut it, right about in there where my hand is there. But look at it now, boom. Week and a half, you got this kind of growth. Let's look at some of the plants that were just volunteers here that I decided I wanted to use for my chop and drop material. Sumac, wing sumac, whole bunch of wing sumacs in there. Even the Biden's alba that we talked about so much. This is all Biden's alba, all these broadleaf plants in here. Now, why is it so important that they grow back? For one thing, they're still alive, so the roots are still alive. That means you've got living plant material below ground. You're pumping sugars into the ground. You're feeding that to the mycorrhizal network. Those roots maintain that wood wide web mycorrhizal network. If you were to just rip these plants out or just kill them, all of a sudden the sugars are no longer going down into the fungi, and that's detrimental. You want to keep that alive, you want to keep it going. Also, you want this to grow back because, you know, I'm looking at my progress in this area right here, and I've had enough shade in here to really fight back against my Bermuda grass, but I've got two more grasses. Bahia grass, which is what this lawn was primarily. It was a Bahia grass lawn. You can go out back that way and see it still. And there was a lot of Bermuda grass. Bahia grass is a lot more shade tolerant than Bermuda. I'll probably just go ahead and do a whole nother video on the ground covers and the grasses and the different things that you need to consider with that. But I want this stuff to grow back thick so it shades this ground and shades out my grasses. Yeah, that's what I need to do a video on. So we don't want grasses. We don't want nut grass, Bahia grass, Bermuda grass, and there's probably many other species of just wild grasses all in here. Grasses are competitive with your food forest, whereas your beneficial ground covers, the ones you want, let's turn around and look at them. You know, the sunshine mimosa, like we have here, the sweet potatoes. Let's go over here and look at the frog fruit. These are cooperative species. They cooperate with your food forest. There's a bunch of frog fruit. There's some clippings from the Fakahatchee grass, but there's also some nasty old Bermuda still growing in there. Frog fruit cooperates, Bermuda does not. Look at all this frog fruit. Now here's a mix of bahia grasses and frog fruit over here. Frog fruit's good. Another one that's great is the buffalo clover. We have quite a bit of it, and it's the most shade tolerant of all those beneficial ground covers. And there's a lot of it back this way. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I can't wait for these Biden's albas, winged sumac to grow back as fast as they can. I want to see that pumping sugars into my ground, and I want to see that casting shade on those nasty grasses that I'm still fighting and trying to get rid of. So this whole chop and drop exercise over here was a big effort to, get rid of the grass and replace it with beneficials. And along the edge here, I've seen some beneficial ground covers beginning to grow in. There's a lot of frog fruit right there trying to grow on in. And there's a bunch of buffalo clover right there, and frog fruit both. That's coming in. So, and yeah, there's some more buffalo clover right there, right next to my new jujube tree here. And there's a bunch of frog fruit. So yeah, we'll selectively try to, help the good guys get rid of the bad guys. And we need as much shade as possible to help fight that Bermuda. It's really tenacious, but it becomes kind of wimpy when it gets real shady. Bahia grass can take a lot more shade than Bermuda. Nut grass is an absolute beast. It can take deep shade, stores a lot of energy in its little nut underground. So nut grass, we're going to be fighting that for a long time. But it helps to get all this growth going so that we can shade it. It'll at least slow it down a little bit. So back this way is where we had lots and lots and lots of Biden's alba back here. And if we just get our camera down low, this is all Biden's alba. Every one of these little plants in here is Biden's alba, just about. I mean, it's mixed in with some other things, but this is just thick with Biden's alba. Now this is in the shade anyway of these live oak trees right here. So I don't see much Bermuda back here at all, but I do see a lot of Bahia grass. As I said, it's pretty shade tolerant. And other weird grasses, definitely nut grass or nut sedge. There's a nasty one right there. They're all nasty. I'll do a video and I'll get into why these grasses compete. It may not be exactly what you think. The old notion about plants competing for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and other nutrients in the ground, it turns out it's not really a thing. There's something to it, but turns out even pretty poor soil, as long as it's organic and not using chemical fertilizers and stuff, as long as it's organic, there's usually plenty enough nutrients in the ground for everybody. And the competition is more about the sunlight, or versus the shade. And it turns out there's a physical aspect to it. There's the turf grasses. The reason why they work so great as sod, where they can be dug up and transplanted to a different area and put on the ground as sod, is because they have a thick network of real shallow roots. And that's a physical barrier. That's one of the main problems. We'll talk about that in another video. But just coming out here and looking, we've got so many things out here that we borrowed some Biden's alba from over here. There's a Mexican sunflower. We took stuff from all over this garden, and in some ways I wish we didn't have to take it, because the shade was beneficial, and it's good wildlife habitat as well. So here's an area here where I'm killing the grass pretty good, making good progress on that. We've even got some buffalo clover coming in right here. And these blackberries are perked up. They're looking pretty good, actually. That's some nice looking, beautiful growth coming along. And then I'll probably want to continue to mulch this with some more material, but at some point I'll probably get over here and plant some of those beneficial ground covers. Or maybe this buffalo clover will take over. That's how you can tell it's buffalo clover. It's got that funny looking seed pod on it that kind of looks like they're going backwards. Buffalo clover, and that's I've never seen that for sale anywhere, but it's a real common, and it's a nitrogen fixing, just common wild ground cover. Maybe that'll take over in here. You do want a green cover on the ground, preferably to just plain old mulch where you can. But these areas are new. I had to first convert them from grass and get quite a bit of nutrients on the ground, and then soon, like next year, I hope to have these areas covered well with beneficial ground covers. But if you look all along in here, again, just a whole bunch of Biden's alba in here, some of this nitrogen fixing tick seed. I call them Velcro beans. All of this is going to grow back and quick. It's already coming back strong. So that gives me a supply of mulch material in the future, and it's an endless supply. It's a sustainable supply that'll never get used up unless I want it to get used up. Like I said, I'll be phasing out some of this stuff like the Mexican sunflower, but and I'll probably be cutting back quite a bit on the Biden's alba and the winged sumac. But there will always be some around, and I want to keep some around. I want this to get real bushy again right here, so I've got that material shading the ground, and then I can use it again when I need some mulch. I opened everything up here for this little rosemary here. All right, so that just wanted to make that point. Got some frog fruit trying to grow in here, and some other stuff. Oh, that's Biden's alba. Ooh. Sorrel, that's good stuff. So yeah, you want your broadleaf ground covers. You don't want your grasses. That's the main thing. And I want that shade, and I want those sugars to keep pumping in. So that's the main point. Just wanted to stress that when you do chop and drop mulching, you get the benefits of that. It's like going back to the store with a prepaid credit card, like a Christmas gift somebody put in your stocking, where you can go back and keep getting your mulch over and over and over for free. That's the point. All right, y'all. Whew, I think I'm gonna go inside, get in the AC. Y'all take care, everybody, and happy gardening.